Well, hi guys, welcome to another AW interview. Got Jake Smith here. Well, Jake, of course, with that amazing marathon, time got within, within the Olympic time, and you know, at 17 miles, didn't even think about, you know, well, at that point, he just thought, well, let's see how it goes. And Jake, in the end, it was quite a good decision, wasn't it? At that point.
Yeah, it was. Thank you for having me on. And yeah, it was just a crazy thing to think I've now done a marathon when I wouldn't. If you had asked me like earlier this year, do you reckon you'll do a marathon this year or the next couple of years? And I would have said to them, no chance. But it was just one of those days really, which just went so well. I enjoyed all of it. Yeah, and carried on. It's a nice little Olympic time ticked off the bucket list.
I mean, going into this kind of marathon, I mean, Cheshire Elite Marathon, did you kind of deep down kind of have even like 1% of your instinct think, well, I've got a shot here of, actually doing the whole thing, even though I'm pacing it.
Um, I think what was quite cool to see was, 3 weeks, 4 weeks prior the Cheshire Elite Marathon, I paced the Olympic trials, and that was slightly quicker, and I managed to get to 18 miles, like feeling all right, not like 100% or anything. And a lot of people have asked me the same question there, and it's one of those things. Just like this summer, it's all about my 10K for the trials, like the Olympic trials, on June 5th, and I knew doing the marathon now, I just need to see how my legs would react. Thankfully, they have reacted quite well, but I would love to say no to that, to answer that. Just like I don't think there was anything like in my head or anything. When I woke up that morning, I did not think about doing a marathon or anything like that. And yeah, it's just my body just kept going. I've kind of said to quite a few people, I compared to myself to like Forrest Gump, where we both don't really think much. We just put our heads down, and like a lot of people have seen the movie where he just keeps running, and he's not the smartest of the bunch, but yeah, I think I can compare myself to him because we have quite a few similarities.
Well, I was chatting to you probably know him, Rob Pope, who's the
Yeah.
real life Forrest Gump the other week. So if you fancy, doing something with Rob in the future, then I'm sure that'd be possible. But like you talk about the British, Olympic marathon trials, your time was literally 8 seconds outside Tomo's winning time. I'm right in saying um for the well, not sorry, not yeah, around 8 seconds, if I'm right in saying, from Tomo's winning time. I mean, that's some achievement.
Yeah, it was nice because I think a big thing was, I would say when I paced the Olympic trials, we went out a bit harder. So maybe and Chris Thompson was like a bit behind us. So I think he was splitting the times quite well, whereas the other group went off a little bit harder. They might have hurt towards the end. Whereas when I was pacing Cheshire Marathon, I think Phil Sessman and I, we were hitting the splits more or less within 3 seconds of each other. So I think it's one of those things where I felt comfortable. I was in like that tempo zone. I know what the pace feels like because I've done it so many times in training. So yeah, just for you to say that, and you think of like what Chris Thompson's achieved in the past, it's something special. And I think a lot of people have seen his finishing straight in the Olympic trials, and it puts a lot of smiles onto a lot of people's faces. So to think I'm not even that far off his time is just amazing to hear, really.
And like your coach, like a few interviews you've done recently, your coach said that the actual stuff you took into the race, it wasn't kind of marathon prep. It was literally, one gel, no drinks really whatsoever,
Yeah,
and like your body still felt pretty damn good at 17 miles, didn't it?
yeah. I do love my Nutella, so I'd say I had a lot of Nutella on bagels before the race. So I think that kept me going for a lot of it. But it's one of those things like I've spoken to a lot of marathon boys after the race, and I didn't realize how important food, drinks and water are like is in the marathon. But like it's one of those things I've never done it before. The only time I take gels are on a long run, like just one gel with me. So I knew what it would feel like. And I didn't want to like ruin how I'd feel. Like, you sometimes when you take a product, it doesn't, if it doesn't sit well, you always feel ill after. I would say though, I was getting very, very hungry towards the end of that. So it was literally straight to my mum and say, yeah, where's the food at? And but I think it's just a one-off thing. I would love to say if I could go do another marathon, if I can only take one gel, I'd be quite impressed, but we'll have to see what happens.
Like during that Cheshire Elite Marathon, was there a point like you were thinking this maybe not be the best idea? Was there a point between 17 miles and 26 that where you're thinking I kind of regret doing this, or was it literally seamless all the way through?
It's one of those things. Have you heard the expression where you, when you go past 20 miles, they say the halfway point in the marathon is after 20 miles. So all I could think about was, where is this wall going to hit me? Am I going to get running straight into a wall? But I I think that the day after or 2 days after, I was like, why the hell have I just done that? Because I have a lot of respect for marathon runners now and how they do feel after the race. And I think the night of the race, when I got back home to Cardiff, yeah, I did not leave the sofa for a few hours. So, um, but then when I look back at it now, and I've recovered really well. Like, I had my first session yesterday, and I think the big thing was to look at my heart rate. My heart rate's come back down to normal, so I don't regret it as much now. But it's one of those things, because I've never run that distance. Anything could have happened. I could have injured myself without knowing it. I could have turned my ankle. But yeah, I'm just happy it paid off.
I mean, you talk about hitting the wall. Is have you ever had that before? Kind of that, is it quite a sudden feeling of hitting the wall? Is it like a mental, psychological, physical kind of thing? I mean, for people who kind of wouldn't know kind of how that would feel.
A picture that kept coming up in my head, it was, have you seen the scene from Run Fat Boy Run when he's doing that marathon? He
Yes,
literally,
yes.
that's all I could think of. I was like, where, I'm gonna run straight into this wall like him. But yeah, I don't think, because I've never, like I said, I've never done anything that far. So all the other shorter events, like, you don't really hit a wall. You kind of just like, almost like when you do a track race, like lactic hits, and you just slow down and you're just fighting for your life. But I've never really, like, because I've seen some marathon runners, when they hit a wall, you see them like, I would hate to name some people, but like, say for example, Callum Hawkins in the Commonwealth, it was a horrible thing to see, but he didn't take the fluids on or anything, and it was such a hot day, and you saw the state of him, like, he wasn't able to run. There's so many other people you can name. So I've never really experienced that just yet. I don't want to experience that, but yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, you say yet. I mean, hopefully that's not never going to happen at any point. But like, it's kind of mad because your victory came like 4 days after you did a 1500 meters, and you did it in a pretty, good time. In 3:50:89 it was. I mean, you talk about Callum Hawkins, and you can easily say Mo Farah as well. Obviously your half marathon PB from last October when we did an interview with you last, where I think you said to Seb Coe, you literally started crying in front of him the first time you met him. You're third on the all-time list in terms of the half marathon in the UK. And, as I said, 1,500 meters 4 days before the marathon. I mean, you talk about then the 10,000 meters at the Olympics. For you, is it literally just trying to define what the hell you're going to be doing long term? Because there's so much involved in this.
I think I love trying the different distances, and I didn't really, I would love, I actually would admit this, but I think the 1500 meters is the worst event. It probably hurts the most out of all of them because it's a completely different ball game. And yeah, it's just a lot more fun trying all these events. Like I said to my coach this track season, I want to try all the events, like the 15, the 3, the 5. I think I'm racing James, my coach, over an 800, a local BMC, a local track meet, but it's just a bit more fun because that's how I love to run, is just to enjoy myself and try all these different things and not be just set on one distance. Because I think when I'm like, say, 28, a bit older or something, 28, 30 or something, I'll probably be set on that distance, like a lot of people, older people are. So right now I'm just enjoying trying all different distances, getting absolutely smashed by some of these shorter distance guys on the tracks, but I'm enjoying it.
Do you reckon you'll find? Are you looking at the 10,000 meters then, as that's the one that you really want to nail for the Olympics?
Yeah, I was like I haven't heard anything from British Athletics or anything about potentially, because at first, when I finished marathon, I thought, I was like, am I potentially like the second reserve or something? Because I think Johnny Mellor would be reserve, and then I was thinking like I'm not sure if I would be the next in line, but like I haven't got anything from British Athletics, so it's all set on the 10K, and I'm just gonna try and get as close to the Olympic time as I possibly can.
And you mentioned that's on the 5th of June, the trials for
Yes,
that. Yeah.
yes, Birmingham.
Are you confident of trying to, do what you want to do there?
I'm feeling really confident, and um I think they'll have paces. I've heard they're gonna have the lights around the track, the like the pacing lights they had at
Yeah.
Highgate and case. So it's just gonna be basically a free for all, just trying to hit the time. And yeah, it'll be really interesting. I've said to my coach, I said, whatever happens on that day, if I run under the Olympic time, but three Brits beat me at the end of the day, like I've run the Olympic time, I've thrown everything I possibly can out there. So we'll just have to see. And I hope I'm being messaged by a few people from Netherlands, from Germany, who are actually really keen to do the race. So it looks like it is going to end up being quite a talented race.
Do you reckon that like the marathon stuff that you've had recently will help you in terms of not just physically, but I'll say physically, it wouldn't have helped you if you were going to be doing the trials about 2 days after the marathon, but like mentally, like, do you reckon like that will stand you in good stead? Because I guess the thing is when people talk about, the 100 meters, it's over in 10 seconds, you don't have time to think about certain things. But when you are doing the longer distances, and this is a question I posed to kind of, Rob, who'd ran all across America. And I know they are different experiences, but, you've got a lot to think about in those situations. Do you think mentally that will help you?
Without a doubt, it's such a long way, and it's the furthest I've actually run. So I know aerobically I'm in very good shape. And because of course, because you're running for that length of time, of course your body's going to be like shutting down a little bit every minute. So to know I have to run a quarter of that in a month's time, I know it's a bit quicker, but um the fact I can mentally get away with running 2 hours and 11 minutes, the 10K feels it's almost like a sprint now. So so it's going to be all eyes out in that race. But like you said, it just it's made me think about training a bit more, because I know I'm like, I don't need to do these big sessions now, because I can focus on the short stuff, because I know aerobically I'm in really good shape. So I can do some more training with the shorter distance guys, try and work on my leg turnover without losing much fitness.
So quickly before discussing about kind of growing up in Bermuda, like what's the training week look like? What does a Monday to Sunday, to really put you on the spot here, like what does a Monday to Sunday training week look like? Because I've heard your training routines are a bit crazy.
So it's like I've actually reduced my mileage, so it's about 85 to 90 miles a week in terms of running, but I've actually introduced more cross training into my training, because because I've come back from a Achilles injury. But I find cross training so much better for me, because it's low impact and I feel better the next day for running sessions, and I can get my heart rate up quite high. But like on a Monday, I do like um it's like 10 miles of progression in the morning with some strides. Then in the evening, it's about 45 minutes on the cross trainer. Tuesday, 6 miles easy in the morning. Then it's about 10 to 14 mile session in the evening. Wednesday's 12 miles in the morning, gym in the evening. Thursday again is 10 miles steady with another 6 miles run in the evening. Friday, 6 miles in the morning, 10, 14 mile session. A Saturday is a cheeky little like 40K bike. I love my bikes. And then a Sunday is an 80-mile long run with a gym in the evening.
I think you're going to need a calculator to work out the total distance there. I really do. I mean, that sounds, I mean, like, is that intense uh,
Um,
for
so
somebody your kind of pedigree?
so on a Monday and Thursday, I get a lot of comments because I do like say a progression, and sometimes my progressions average like 5:40, 5:30 miling, where I'll start at like 6:10 miling and finish like sub 5 minute miling for the last mile. And then my steadies are like 5:20, 5:25 miling. And I think a lot of older people doing the marathon stuff, I think they're a bit I would love to say jealous, but a bit angry with how I do it because I'm one of those guys who I won't do a warm up. I'll go straight out of the door and then just run a 5:30 mile first mile. And thankfully, I think they say because I'm young, I can get away with it. But when I'm a bit older, they say, "Oh, you're gonna have to warm up." But I don't agree with them. I think I can get away with it. Well, I hope I'll be able to get away. But yeah, it's tough. It is tough the training, but it's like I do love it at the end of the day, and you get like such a buzz after each run, and yeah.
I was about to say, like the endorphin rush you must get off that, like knowing that you've actually done that quite well is such a good feeling for you kind of mentally when you kind of get it and you think like I've actually really achieved what I want to today. But I guess on the other side of that, are there any occasions where you kind of come in and think, oh, I could have done a bit better there? And does that kind of haggle you quite a lot?
Without a doubt. Like I had a couple of weeks ago, I had a big session on the Friday, and I did one of my fast long runs on the Sunday, and then on the Tuesday, I had to stop in the session because I was absolutely like my legs were battered and stuff, and I'm quite in terms of sessions, I get absolutely buzzed for it. I literally do nothing for the day. I'm lying on my bed, just listening to music, getting in the zone. And I think because I didn't finish the session on Tuesday, for the next 48 hours, I probably didn't speak to anyone very much. I was just like, I'm gonna smash this session on Friday. I was in the Normatec recovery boots. I was just sleeping, and yeah, I session days are like I would love to say my favorite days because it's a weird day, but I just get in the mood. It's like a race day almost every week.
I was about to ask, what's your favorite and least favorite training session?
Oh, my favorite is I love I'm doing it quite soon again, but it's 10 miles on the track with where it's a K on, K off. And I did this 2 weeks prior my half, and I ran the 10 miles in 47:06 with my fast case being 2:45 and my slow case being 3:05. So it's like alternating fast case, slow
Nice,
case.
yeah.
I'm doing that again in about 2 weeks, and I want to break. I would love to run close to like 46:50, which would put me in good state. And then actually, my least favorite is actually it. I do love it, but at the same time, it hurts the most. So I would say it's my least favorite. It's 10 by 400s off a minute, or split into two sets of 4 to 5 400s.
Yeah, I
That's
can
with
see
the
why that.
1500 boys, and yeah, with the 1500 boys, and I have nothing left on the last rep, and for some reason they can just go on the last. So I get absolutely battered in them. So I'll say that's my least favorite.
So, like, I mean, it must be like when you're growing up, it must be pretty mad to think like where you are now, the potential to where you could go. Like, did you always want to become, who you are now when you were growing up?
Well, I think because I grew up in Hong Kong, and back then running was fairly big, but it wasn't as big as like the football. So it was one of those I always wanted to play in the Premier League. Um, I support Reading FC, so I wanted to play for Reading, and it was one of those. And I didn't really start concentrating on running until I was about 14, 15. And until I was 16, 17, I was literally playing football, rugby, hockey the whole time and just running on the side of it. Because I just find, without even knowing it, I was talking to someone else the other day, without even knowing it, all these like guys in the school and stuff, they're going to get so much benefit from playing football and rugby without even noticing. Just the aerobic fitness you get from, like, I would be playing like football at lunchtime and then after school football without even knowing you're playing 2 hours of football, just running around for 2 hours, and you build up that stamina so much. So, yeah, I'd love to say I think playing the sports when I was young really helped, and I was never I was never very good at running when I was younger. Like I never got to English school's track. I was 30 seconds off the time for the 3K, and then when I came to university, I focused on it more, and it's paying off now.
So, like, where did Bermuda come into it then? Am I right in saying you were there, or?
Yes, so I was born there. My parents got married there, and I lived there for a year before we moved to Hong Kong because both their jobs moved out there. And then I grew up in Hong Kong for 14, 15 years.
Oh wow! So you really have travelled the world then. It's like
I love, it's
air miles.
different from going from living in Hong Kong to this little town in Devon where the average age I promise is about 70 years old. So going from such a vibrant city to a little old town in Axmouth called Axmouth was something else really.
Good running routes, I guess, around there, which is quite handy.
Oh yeah, we're on the coastal path, so it's lovely down there. But on like a windy day, you can't really get anywhere when it's a windy day.
Yeah, you get blown off the cliff then. Yeah, I mean, how did Hong Kong compare to, compared to the UK, but not just in terms of kind of, the vibe and kind of the atmosphere, but the actual, running facilities. But, did you kind of do much running in Hong Kong, kind of on, when you said on the side, was it fairly a decent level?
Oh, it was a good level. Like when I was like 13, 14, I started getting into it more, so running with school and stuff. And but again, I was playing like football and rugby. I kind of compare it to, a lot of Brits go to like Kenya, America for the altitude training and stuff. And I say about Hong Kong because it was 30 degrees, 95% humidity. You could hardly breathe or anything. So to come to the UK and actually be able to breathe properly, so to train out in such a crazy, crazy place probably helps me a bit. Wouldn't want to know what was I was breathing in, inhaling in from the fumes and stuff, but I think it's worked sort of. But and another thing is when I ran over the mountains and that, you would see like the odd wild monkey, wild snake just rustling about. So I did quite of my fair share of sprints just getting away from a bush or something if I heard something moving.
That's
And
so cool. That's so cool. I mean,
yeah,
you probably compare that to Devon, can you? You get the odd hedgehog around there.
no, you get the fair old pheasant you have to run by, but yeah, it was something else living in Hong Kong.
Well, like, I guess actually, to be fair, would actually having that experience in Hong Kong help you potentially if you're going to go out to Tokyo, because you could have known that kind of environment within Asia.
Oh, I would love to say I go to Tokyo. That's the dream. But yeah, without a doubt, like a lot of the people I've been to, like if I go on warm weather training, I do deal with it a bit better because I have lived in a hot country. Like in the summer here, I'm fine with the summer here. I'll almost still be wearing like a jumper in the summer here because it's still a little bit cold compared to England, Hong Kong, sorry. But yeah, I can deal with it well. The only thing is I've heard like they've had to like, for instance, if I was doing the marathon, they've had to move the marathon because apparently it's like slightly up at altitude or something. I've heard. I'm not 100% sure if I'm right in saying that, but with in terms of altitude training, the only altitude training I've ever done is going skiing, and I did the odd run when I went on a skiing holiday. So yeah, but in terms of like the heat and stuff, I'm really good running in the heat because I've just grown up with it.
Well, I was about to say the only marathon, the marathon that you did was your debut marathon anyway. So in terms of actually discovering what new things look like in athletics, you're fairly well suited for that. I'd say anyway, man. But yeah, I guess the final thing for me really is kind of looking forward over the next few months. What's your kind of schedule looking like ahead of the 5th of June?
So I'm trying to get into the Gateshead Diamond League. That's the net. Well, see if I can get a spot into there, to do the 5K. Because it's one of those things where I need to make sure the 10K pace almost feels comfortable. So if I can run quite a bit quicker for that race, I know I'm in good shape because I'll be 2 weeks out from the trials, and that'll be a really, really good indicator. And then there's like that Manchester Brighton meet or another BMC in Sports City. So it just depends if I can get into Gateshead meet, whether I have to do another 5K or a 1500 the following week. And yeah, then it's all into the 10K. And then after that, I think I'll have to have a few days off after that because I think my legs will be absolutely battered. But until then, it's just full on.